everyone, welcome to another episode of Where Have You Been Lately, brought to you by the Boyertown Museum of Historic Vehicles. I'm Kendra.
I'm Dan.
And here on Where You've Been Lately, we like to talk about cool places we've been, weird places we've been, things that you could go check out and do in your car.
So where have you been lately?
Where have I been lately? I go there all the time.
Walmart?
Not Walmart. I travel this piece of land or very close to it at least once a week. That's probably an underestimate. And I've been to Berks County's very own Road to Nowhere. Ooh, the Road to Nowhere. Okay. Now, I think a lot of places have a road to nowhere. A road that doesn't really make any logical sense why it's there. Maybe construction started but never finished. Maybe it once connected to hopping places that aren't there anymore, so now it seems like it's hopping places. So whatever the reason, Berks County's famous Road to Nowhere was built in 1962, and it's about 3/4 of a mile long, and it's up near where I live in Spring Township. Kind of runs sort of near the intersection of Van Reed and Paper Mill Road. It goes across the Tulpahawken Creek, and it ended at a little tiny road called Blessing Lane, and you can see a photo here, the original stretch there, and it was like a big major highway that they built 3/4 of a mile of, and it doesn't connect to, it's just highway by itself sitting there in the middle of farm fields, and it just looks like it was plopped down there randomly. In 1968 they did finally expand it at least northward so that it hooked up, it went north to 183 and into Muhlenberg Township, and up there it connects to 222, which will take you to Allentown. So at least then it got connected on the one end, but then it just ended there near the intersection of Van Reed and Paper Mill Road. And you can see that in the aerial there, that now it is connected to a major highway. At least it's not just floating, a piece of highway floating on its own. And then there's this really cool photo. That's from the Reading Eagle from July of 1968. And that's its end. They just kind of built a fence there. I guess to just keep you from driving into the dirt, because it literally just ended there. And you can see it looks like it's pretty much in the middle of nowhere. There was at one point a bridge on Paper Mill Road that went over the Road to Nowhere. That bridge is gone, but you can see that bridge a little better in this photo because it's more at an angle, not a direct aerial from the top. And that was 1968. It's basically like this up to the 1990s. So for a long time, that road just sat there, not going anywhere. Finally, in 1999, that southern dead end there, they finally do connect it to the Warren Street bypass, or the 422 interchange there. And the land nearby there is also sold at about the same time. And that turns into the Broadcasting Square Shopping Center. They call it Broadcasting Square because WEEU had broadcasting towers there at one point.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The Broadcasting Square Shopping Center is probably one of the most horribly laid out for traffic flow in the world. And I swear I saw an article about that years ago, that there was a study done. It was like one of the worst on the East Coast, and now I couldn't find it for today. But I drive that thing almost weekly, and it's a nightmare.
It's been censored.
I guess. They probably have my name on a list now because I was looking for it. In 2006, though, the Road to Nowhere finally, I like this quote, reached its final form. That's a great quote. because now 222 South between 422 and 724 was finally finished. So you can now, it's now possible for you to go all the way Lancaster to Allentown or Allentown to Lancaster using Route 222, which was the final end game for this, but took decades to do. And a lot of money. The county had money in it. The federal government had money in it. Why it took so long, I really don't know. I'm sure government bureaucracy is probably mostly to blame. And then you can see there's what it looks like in present day, the aerial there. If you drive this road often like I do, I have really some not so great pictures up there. There's like nowhere good to just go and get a picture. It's all so built up now. And let me tell you, to get into that Body Zone Sports you're like taking your life into your own hands crossing the 222 off ramp to get over there, which is kind of right where this road now kind of became that 222 off ramp there. It's treacherous to try to stop and take photos, so don't mind my terrible ones. That's why I used more of the aerials. So it's definitely no longer a road to nowhere anymore. It's hopping. The places are hopping now. We're back to hopping. Now you can go online and, which is what I did. I went online and I read people remembering the road to nowhere. Like there's a Facebook group about, Berks County nostalgia and stuff. And do you remember where in Berks County is this? And you read those posts and I'll give you one guess, the memory that pops up with that strip of highway road in the middle of nowhere.
That you can't take pictures.
No. Of a certain age group that remember this abandoned highway. Drag racing.
Ooh.
Oh man, did people have memories from their high school days, college days, going out there and drag racing their muscle cars? And yeah, that was funny. And I can only imagine, because that's really what it looks like. It looks like a 1/4 mile drag strip in the middle of farm country out there in the middle of nowhere. So that's the road to nowhere. And I drive it almost every day, and a lot of people do. And I'm sure now at this point, there's people that don't even know that it used to just be this drag strip sitting there. The one website I used, and I didn't actually have photos on here because they're watermarked so much. They have a little copyright thing on them. But if you go to historicaerials.com, that's a really fascinating site, and you type in an address and you get all these selection of years that you can pick to see an aerial of that site. And you can even have 2 at a time and then drag the center line over. They lay them on top of each other and you can go back and forth. So it was really cool. I went on there and I looked at this site and I clicked on the different years, and you really could see the progression of how they've added on to it ever so slowly. It's a really neat site. You don't have to pay to use it, but you have to pay to remove all those watermarks and stuff. So it wasn't great to show on here, but if just anywhere, not just this, anywhere you want to see an old aerial of a site, it's a really cool site. Historicaerials.com. You'll get lost on there for a few hours.
I will.
But that's where I've been lately, and I'll be going there again later today. So as you drive 222 south up there, or north, just remember the road to nowhere. That's where you are. It ain't nowhere anymore.
It ain't nowhere.
No.
When I first moved to this area 20 years ago, which was right after they finished it, a few years after, people were talking about, and even before I moved here, I lived like 30 miles from here, 25, and people were talking, once in a while would come up and about this road to nowhere, and I kind of knew where it was, and I'm not real familiar with those roads that you were talking about there, but I kind of, it's Berkshire Mall area.
You're not far from the mall. Yeah. Yep. And I remember as a kid, driving around up there, with my parents and stuff. And then when they changed all this, and I remember the first time my mom and I went up there and she got so lost because it was so different. They've radically changed that whole layout up there. And she tells me she still doesn't get it straight. She makes me drive it now.
That's what moms are for.
That's right. She drove me around enough years of my life.
Yeah.
It's my turn.
So what's the name of that website again? I wrote it down.
HistoricAerials.com.
Okay.
It's fun. I've historic aerialed this town many times.
Really?
I have. It's fun. It's addictive.
I've been on either that one or one similar to it. And of course, I went back to where I grew up.
Yeah.
And, you know, the houses look different, but everything's hasn't changed.
It's
you know,
neat.
the streets or anything, but
It's cool.
yeah. Yep.
There. Now you have something to do the rest of the night.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's where I've been lately. So thanks for joining us on this episode, and we will see you next time, and we'll figure out where Dan's been lately next time.
Yeah.
See you then.